that sex and gender are the same thing. I don't believe that sex, you can separate sex from gender. I think you're male
So
and
once
female.
again, you are in disagreement with the World Health Organization and every major medical association in this country, and also modern biology, as I've just shown you from modern biology textbooks, one that I used in college and one that I teach out of today. So college textbooks about biology, biologists like me, and also the best doctors in the country and the world think you're wrong. What do you know that we don't, Chuck?
I see the line of questioning. I got you. Okay, so you're really gonna just frame it in terms of I'm somehow morally disordered because I don't believe in this ideology of gender and sex.
I haven't brought up
and
morality at all, Chuck. Only you have. I'm asking you,
No.
why, if you are a person who says they like science, why are you in disagreement with the leading science organizations on the planet about this issue? Is there any other science that you don't believe in?
There's plenty of biologists who don't agree with that. When I took biology as an undergrad, they weren't pushing this stuff. This is very recent.
When did you take biology as an undergrad?
In the early 2000s.
Okay, so do you think in the last 20 years we've learned more things?
I think there's been ideological capture, as I mentioned before. There's an agenda.
So you don't think that we've learned anything new about sex or gender in the last 20 years?
No, I think, we are still a species that reproduces sexually, and I don't think men can get pregnant. But you're going to play games with words.
So here we are again. You are in disagreement with the best doctors and biologists in the world. You are in disagreement with not only all the universities that are teaching biology, but the biologists who write the textbooks for the universities. Professional biologists writing material for other professional biologists to train new professional biologists. You are in disagreement with those things because you think there's some ideology involved. And yet, when it comes to other pushes in this direction, other ways in which science has evolved, like homosexuality, for example, you don't seem to have a problem with it. So once again, you took biology in your undergrad. What did you learn that I didn't? What's the evidence that you have that sex and gender are inseparable? That somehow the World Health Organization, the American Medical Association, the Endocrine Society, the American Psychiatric Association, that genetics textbook, that Campbell's biology book, those people don't know the thing that Chuck knows. So what is it? Tell me what it is that you know that I don't.
Yeah, you're smart. I'm dumb. You're right. I'm wrong. You got it all figured out. So yeah, you got it.
I mean,
that's a really lame and cowardly answer there, Chuck.
Yeah, Forrest actually asked you a question, and you're just gonna try to deflect.
Yep. All right. Hello and welcome to the Transpositions. I'm your host, Bree McCune. That was how allyship is done. Now, with me today, I have our jolly band of transposition hosts, Ember Bellrad and Stephanie Helms. That you took the call screener for that call before it came in. What we heard at the beginning there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was a call screener for Chuck's call on that show, and the critical piece of information is Chuck told me his pronouns were attack helicopter. Now, in my book, if you don't know who Igor Sikorsky was, you can't refer to helicopters. If it's not Bell or Sikorsky, you're out. But anyway, that, for those of you who don't know, is a phrase that came out of 4chan back in the mid-teens, where with people who would disparage trans people by saying they, quote, identify as an attack helicopter. Well, I put the pronouns in for the hosts as none given, but with a note that this dude said his pronouns were attack helicopter. And when the call started, Forrest said, I see you gave the call screener attack helicopter as your pronouns. And I'm wondering if you realize how shitty that is, and how much of a crappy thing that is to say, It hurts a lot of trans people because it's an obvious dig at them. Do you realize how shitty that is? Or do you not care? And that, I just want to call in and talk about religion. I just want to talk about religion. This is supposed to be about religion. And
And it should
John
be.
said, well, that was a pretty shitty thing to say, but we can move on. And Forrest immediately said, well, I'm not gonna. And what followed was 30 minutes of going around how shitty it is to just be a dick. Just be a Delta Bravo and think that you're gonna get a pass. And I was so grateful that Forrest wasn't gonna let that be a pass. That was allyship to me. That really was showing you really give a shit. You really
That's what
care.
it looks like.
Because
Exactly.
because people have been arguing about religion for 2,000 years, at least. 2024, right? At least if you throw the Jesus guy into the whole program.
If he's a prerequisite.
But undoubtedly, they've been arguing about religion and going to war over it for a far, far longer period of time than even that. But trans people have nothing to do with religion, and if you're going to call into a talk show and make a gratuitous slur about people whose lives are being affected by law, by abuse, then that's a lot more important than any god or any
it affects
god belief.
real people, not imaginary friends.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I was really happy about that.
The guy used the term that religion, when he was trying to redirect that religion was phenotypic, a phenotypic characteristic of the human species, which is kind of funny because when you talk about denying gender and you want to talk about the phenotypic nature of or phenotypic characteristic of the human being, right?
Interestingly enough, Chuck called the line on the hang up and talked to Dillahunty, and Dillahunty went through the on Wednesday, yesterday, right? And they did address that whole thing, and it's kind of like it's a Dawkins-esque thing. It's like a sociological amalgam of the meme as a gene. So that's where it's like an external phenotype, right? Rather than it being it's like bringing into sociology the notion of karyotype versus phenotype, which is, entirely within the realm of philosophical discussion and disputation, I suppose. But this guy's sitting there saying, which is really weird, because this guy's sitting there saying, well, it's an external phenotype, but he's unwilling to grant that phenotypes can change when it comes to trans people. It's really weird.
Your phenotype can change naturally. People that'll go through, that's how certain conditions are identified when someone hits puberty and their phenotype changes in a direction they weren't expecting. That's where a lot of intersex people may discover some internal differences that they have. The people who are chimera, for instance.
Weavidirches.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely the line. We support what they're doing over there here at the Transpositions, especially the Transatlantic Call-In show, which was on earlier today. Had Katie and Josie, which hasn't been on for a little bit, but had them hosting. I think Josie's coming back next week, she said. So
I think it's Katie and Josie next week as well.
I think
I'm not sure about that. It might be Arden. It might be Arden.
Yeah. Either way, yeah. Check out the line.
I don't remember the schedule.
Yeah. Steph.
Anyway, if you're not subscribed to the line, if you're not watching their content, you should. You should be, and you should be. That's all I can say. especially Takis, which is the best show on there, because I've got an IMDb entry because I've been on there 5 times.
Oh.
You'll have to join SAG-AFTRA next.